One of the treats of reading fantasy is learning about fascinating peoples and cultures. One such culture from the Kingkiller Chronicle is the Adem. To the northeast of Temerant, in the foothills of the Stormwall Mountains, is a harsh, barren land. The land of Ademre is often battered by storms, which have led the Adem to build their homes into the sides of cliffs and holes in the ground, so they may be better sheltered from the extreme weather. When our protagonist Kvothe visits the town of Herat, he first thinks its citizens live very simple lives without much material wealth. Contrary to his initial thoughts, however, he later reflects that the insides of their houses show a comfortable, well-furnished lifestyle that is not visible to one looking from the outside in. As with their homes, there is more to the Adem people than meets the eye. Ademre is famous for producing powerful warriors. It is said that one Adem mercenary is equal to that of several non-Adem combatants. For such is their prowess with fighting, they are regarded as the finest fighters in the world. They are considered the best not because they are the biggest or the strongest, but because of their agility, focus, precision, and self-control, honed from years of rigorous training in the martial art of Keitan. The Keitan is a series of martial art movements which is comparable to real-world Tai Chi. Their fighting forms emphasize minimal actions so that one moves as little as possible to avoid a blow, or exert just enough force to control their opponent. By sparring with adept fighters such as his teacher Vashet, the old but graceful Shane, and the young but formidable Celine, Kvothe learns many moves like catching sparrows, sleeping bear, and thunder upward, moves used to catch, grab, and incapacitate an opponent. Those Adem who have successfully undergone the training are allowed to venture out into the world as mercenaries and wear bright red clothing that distinguishes them from other swords for hire. The reason being is twofold. First, so that they are recognized for their high caliber and skill and thus be paid their worth, usually 5 times more than the average warrior. And second, so that their enemies do not see them bleed. We are given an insight into how the Adem are able to maintain a sustainable economy. For years, the school feeds and clothes its pupils. It gives them a place to sleep. It gives them their swords, their training. And following this investment, the mercenary supports the school by giving back 80% of their earnings. The school supports the village. The village produces children who hope to someday take the red. And thus the cycle continues. To foreigners, the Adem may seem detached and emotionless. They avoid eye contact and rarely use their words to speak. Their stoicism is palpable given their long periods of silence and blank facial expressions. In truth, the Adem simply do not communicate through common facial expressions, such as smiling and grimacing, but through subtle gestures of the hand. In the Adem language, a single word can have multiple meanings depending on tempo and tone. The hand signals prove a crucial means for the Adem to express their emotions and provide context to their words. There are perhaps hundreds of thousands of hand gestures, some with the subtlest of differences. During his supper in the dining hall, Kvothe watches the people around him, noting the discrete shades of difference between excitement and interest, between denial and refusal, all conveyed through motions of the hand. At this point, Kvothe comes to a realization that his native tongue is akin to a wide, shallow pool. There are many words in his native tongue, all clear in their meaning, but lacking the depth and subtlety of the Ademic language, which is like a deep well where every sentence spoken is a spiderweb of complexity. All Adem seek to live by a philosophy practiced by their people, the Lethani. If I were to explain the Lethani, the shortest explanation I can come up with is that it is an understanding of what is right and wrong. However, this alone is not sufficient of an explanation. It cannot be described, for it isn't fully understood, not even by the Adem. For it is both the mountain pass and knowledge of the pass. It is not only about doing what is right, but also knowing what is right to begin with. In Patrick Rothfuss's second novel, The Wise Man's Fear, Kvothe is allowed to leave Ademre and use the fighting skills he acquired from the Adem. However, he is forbidden from both wearing the red and teaching anyone the K10. If people see him win the fight, they will think that even a fraction of Adem training made him good, yet if he loses, they will think he only learned a piece of what the Adem know. He can't be expected to be so great with only that. Regardless of Kvothe winning or losing a fight, the Adem benefit from his reputation. It can be said therefore that the decision to let Kvothe go out into the world is of the Lethani, as this helps further the Adem cause. When considering the Adem's origin, I find interesting the parallels between the Adem and the Ademre. Vashet tells Kvothe a story that long ago the Adem were upheaved from their rightful home for forgotten reasons, and wandered endlessly until they settled on the windy mountains which nobody else wanted. Kvothe responds immediately, saying his people are wanderers too. Notice the phonetic similarity between the words Ademre and Ademre. There appears to be some connection here, especially given each clan's opposing reactions to music. Singing is taboo in the Adem culture, as it is viewed as a widely improper display of emotion and feeling, while it is celebrated and encouraged among the Ademre. It is my theory that the Adem and the Ademre originally stem from the same group of people, driven apart by their different ideologies towards public displays of emotion and music. If we are to believe the tales concerning the Creation War to be true, then the Adem and the Ademre might be factions of the original Ruach, the former inhabitants of the Urgan Empire, left behind following the Creation War. As briefly discussed in Skarpi's second story told at the half-mast, a group of Ruach join with Selatos to form the Order of the Amir because they cannot find it within themselves to forget the betrayal of Lanre and his Chandrian. Another group of Ruach form the Angels, a force that polices the world judging the deeds of its inhabitants, led by the Talin god Telu. However, a third and much larger group of Ruach do not join either organisation. What becomes of this group is unknown, as Skarpi's story is interrupted by Talin priests who believe his words are blasphemous. But it is speculated by some fans that the people who chose not to follow either Selatos or Telu were in fact the original Adem and Ademre peoples, split apart because one side values strict teachings of discipline and control, whereas the other puts a high emphasis on public displays of affection, music, and passion. In fact, the need for the Adem to hide their emotions may stem from their devotion to the teachings of the Lethani. In chapter 128 of The Wise Man's Fear, Shan explains there was an enemy who was not of the Lethani, who moved like a worm in fruit. He poisoned 7 others, and 6 cities fell. One remembered the Lethani, and the city did not fall, but its name is forgotten. The enemy in this tale is clearly referring to Lanre, who is now AlyaW, the Lord of the Seven. If the destruction which cast the Adem out of their homeland was brought on by Lanre, then it makes sense that they would develop a philosophy to ensure that such an event would not repeat itself among their own people. Remember, according to Skarpi, it was Lanre's grief for the death of his wife Lyra that drove him to wreak havoc upon the world. Such passion is dangerous, especially when coupled with extreme power. By keeping their emotions at bay, and by exercising discipline over their skills, the Adem are essentially following the Lethani to make the best of life and live with honour. While there are flaws present in the Adem's culture, namely their intolerance towards the other people inhabiting the Four Corners, to whom they refer to as barbarians that are beneath them, as well as their curious beliefs regarding reproduction, I nevertheless find them to be a fascinating people. They live by a code of conduct, and their devotion to that code is admirable. That's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and you can support the channel by subscribing. Also, if you're a huge Kingkiller Chronicle fan, like me, check out my other Kingkiller lore videos, where I go into detail about some of the most compelling characters and magic systems present in fantasy.